welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, so welcome back, years in fact. But I thought, what better time to come back, start recording videos again than the World Cup. I'll be going through group stages, knockout rounds, to the winners and the top scorers, and giving my opinions and what I think will happen, and see how these predictions pan out. So jumping straight in with Group A, you've got Mexico, South Africa, Korea and Czech. I think, unlike a lot of people who think Mexico are going to walk this group, Korea second and Czech third, obviously really no chance for South Africa. I thought the Czech are going to have an absolute stormer. I think they'll win the group, Mexico second and Korea third. I think that you underestimate, they got Suchek, I think this Kufal is in the squad as well, Patrick Schick up top. They got very well-rounded squad that can grind out results, and I think Mexico, they never perform at World Cups. I think for South Africa, it'll be forgettable. They won't score a goal. They may get a few chances for corners, but really it'll be a forgettable year for them. Post game between Korea and Mexico, I think that'll be the closest you get in this group. Same with Czech and Mexico. I think those games will be the ones where it's really like on the wire. I think biggest mad day. I predict that Mexico will beat Korea. I think they got a bit too much firepower up top, and Korea really, they're Xiaomin Son, Hwang Yi-chan, FC, not really much other than that. But Czech, I just think they are going to grind results out. You're not going to get anything from set piece against them. Really, you're going to have to rely on the technical brilliancy of players, and I think Mexico don't have that to be able to get past Czech. So I think Czech will go through 9 points, Mexico second with a few, win every game but the Czech game, then Korea end on 3 points, obviously beating South Africa but losing to the other two. South Africa out, dead last, 1 goal scored. Group E, you've got Switzerland, Canada, Bosnia and Qatar. I think this one, again, is going to be reasonably competitive. I think Switzerland really going to run away with it. They've got a very good side, obviously, no Jan Sommer this year, but you've got Shaqiri, Brilliant, Bolo, good few players, good attack, solid defence, and a decent midfield, I think. I'm not too aware, I don't really kept tabs on Switzerland, but I think they'll run away with the group, 9 points, comprehensive victories in all of them, really. I think Canada, I think they could be something to watch out for. Obviously, it's home soil. They'll get a good few wins. Bosnia, Qatar, I think you'll see close wins. I don't think they'll blow any team out of the water, but 1-0, 2-0. I think that'll be what Canada will be about this World Cup, especially in a group stage. I think Bosnia, I think they will come third. I think they will beat Qatar. I think you'd have Canada second, Swiss first, Bosnia going through third place. So now Group D, Paraguay, USA, Turkey and Australia. I think this is really a nothing group. Little nation, well they're not little nations, but not any huge footballing teams. Obviously Turkey are decent with Güler and Yilmaz, but I think they're not experienced enough, and I think the rest of the teams are not up to that standard. I think USA, they have a good manager, and a few have decent players, Weston McKennie, the LeBron James of soccer, Christian Pulisic, but again, not best. I think Paraguay again, what's his name, the old Newcastle one, and Ciso from Brighton. I think it's going to be a close group between those 3 teams. I think Australia will get turned over. Again, I'm not too refreshed on the Australian players, but I think they will struggle. However, I do think that Turkey will draw to Paraguay and draw to the USA, and Paraguay will beat the USA. I think that will be a very tight game between Paraguay and USA. I think it'll be just a moment of brilliance or mistake that is the difference between that. And with Turkey and USA, I can see that being a ball fest. I think that by this point, both teams will know that they just need to get a point to go through, essentially in the second or third places, and it'll be a case of we just don't want to lose the game to take them through, and that'll be USA third place, Turkey second and Paraguay top. Now Group E, which you've got Germany, Ivory Coast, Curacao and Ecuador. I think this one will be, again, comprehensive. For Germany, the biggest nation in it, they've got a decent team going into the World Cup, and they always tend to do half decent World Cups, ignoring, what was it, where they went out in group stages in 2018? Was it 2018? I think it was, or 2022, one of those two. But I think it'll be comprehensive wins for them. Then they'll go through, beat every team in their group, beat Ivory Coast, beat Ecuador. I think that'll be a close game, but they'll beat them, and obviously beating Curacao, who again have done fantastic to get to competition, but I can't see it being a very pretty one for them. I think Ivory Coast and Ecuador, they will both beat Curacao, but draw to each other in a game which Ecuador, was it in the last few games, they got 11 draws. You know, that's ridiculous. Bringing in Hincampi and Caicedo, Premier League players, bit of physicality, but again, defensive players, and Valencia up top, who's always turns up in the World Cup. So I think that they will score goals, a few goals, but they'll be so hard to break down, so difficult to get through. But they'll go through third place with Ivory Coast going through in second place, obviously because they scored more goals against Curacao. Obviously, Netherlands going through 9 points, then Japan and Sweden sitting on a very disappointing 3. Now, halfway through this video, and we're on to Group G, which has Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand in. I know New Zealand have had a lot of sort of publicity now because they got the least known footballer of the tournament in their team, but I think that is all the publicity they'll get. I think they will struggle. I think Iran, they have, is it Taremi? He's really the only one I know, but he always seems to get a few goals in the tournaments, and I think that'll be no different this year. I think Egypt, people expect them to be good. I think they expect them to be carried by Marmoush and Salah, but outside of that, what do they have does El Neni still play for them? Couldn't tell you. But I think Belgium, again, they have too much for this group. I think they will steamroll through, but I think Belgium will steamroll through. I think Egypt will beat the rest, not Belgium, and Iran will go through, they will be third place, beating New Zealand. Group H, Spain, Uruguay, Saudi, and Cape Verde. I think this one, again, it kind of writes itself. You look at Spain, look at their players. Was it Lamine Yamal, Rodri, Pedri, Gavi or Yazabadal, or whatever he's called. Very, very strong team. Winners of the Euros, obviously. I think they are strong favourites for this competition, and I think they'll be no different in this group. I think they will steamroll through 9 points, beating every team. I think they will turn over Cape Verde. I think it'll be closer than you think against Saudi Arabia. I think, especially looking back to the last tournament, they were very difficult to beat. Obviously beating Argentina. But I think this year they won't get any upsets in the group stage. I think they will beat Cape Verde but lose to both Uruguay and Spain. Uruguay beating Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia to go through second place. But yeah. Now on to Group I, which is France, Norway, Senegal and Iraq. I think, again, this group is quite close between those 3 teams. I think Iraq will lose. I can't see them being any good. Who's their best player? Zidane Iqbal, United flop, don't really know anyone else. Maybe that Ipswich bloke. But yeah, not really anyone notable, anyone with real talent who I believe will shine in this tournament. I think France, again, will blow them out of the water. I think obviously missing Camavinga is massive. I think one of their best midfielders, but they've still got so much quality. Elise, Mbappe, Desiree Doué, Dembele, and that's still not even going into their defence or midfield, really. I think Kante going is interesting because he is getting on a bit. He's been playing in Turkey and Saudi, so will he still have it? Will he be acclimatised to the temperature better? Maybe. Obviously playing in Saudi in those conditions, but yeah, I see that France will go through this group, no worries whatsoever. I doubt they'll concede a goal. I think it'll be pretty easy for them. I think Norway go through in the second, joint on points with Senegal after beating Iraq, and then drawing with Senegal. I think the team, Senegal have been good, especially in tournaments recently. Obviously losing AFCON in the final, allegedly. And I'd World Cup done pretty good as well, but I think it'll be close. I think that Norway will grind out a draw against Senegal just because Haaland, Odegaard, Sorloth, I think they are very good players. You've still got Oscar Bob, who he's young, but he's got a lot of drive. They got a few good players. Obviously Nyland in goal is decent. I think he's playing for Sevilla, not too bad, but yeah, I see France winning that, Norway, Senegal going through in second and third, and then Iraq going out in last place, 0 points, and getting turned over terribly. Now Group J, and that contains Argentina, Austria, Algeria and Jordan, so all their A's and Jordan. I think, again, similar to the last few groups, it will be, you have a clear favourite, Argentina, who are going to turn over every single team in that group. I think their closest game will probably be Austria, because Austria was tricky. You never really get more than 2 goals against them in tournaments. It tends to be the 1-0s, the 2-0s, the scrappy games against Austria. But I see Austria edging out in second. Obviously goal difference, I see them beating Jordan and drawing with Algeria. I think Algeria will lose to Argentina, like obviously more than Austria do, and that'd be the difference in the table. Obviously Austria finishing second and Algeria third, both on 4 points. Now on to Group K, which is Portugal, Colombia, Uzbekistan and DR Congo. On this one, I have went a bit off piece with my prediction. Obviously people expect Colombia to go through second. I do not think that. I think they will struggle in this group because I feel Portugal, I think they're going to steamroll through. I think with the creativity in the midfield and the quality of attack, I think Ronaldo's going to be hungry. I think he will score a few goals in this group stage, in this tournament. Surely down to the creativity and chances created from Bruno. Not to mention Vitinha, Yao Neves behind, Pedro Neto, Yao Felix, Rafael Leao, then going back, Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, and Diego Dalot. They got very, very stacked side, probably the best I've seen them in a while. But yeah, I got DR Congo coming in second place on 6 points, beating both Colombia and Uzbekistan. I think Uzbekistan will be very disappointing. I think they got a few good players. They got that Shamarov or something like that. Used to play for Roma, don't know where he is now, but decent little forward. And was it Kuznetsov from Man City? Good defender, young defender. The out group with 2 players can't get a goal or a point. I think we again very disappointing. And Colombia, I think they'll lose to DR Congo. I think people underestimate. I know they went through in the playoff. I think they've got a good, decent little side. Their keeper plays for, I think, Lens in France. One of those sort of lesser known teams that are performing well. Might be Reims or something. They only got Wan-Bissaka. They got a few good players. They got, is it Bakambu up front, Johan Visser. They got a decent side that seem to be playing all right together. I think Colombia will be very disappointing. They've got John Duran, who has disappeared off the face of the earth playing Zenit. I think that'll be a surprise that a level surprise for him coming to the big time again. Past it, James Rodriguez, David Ospina in goal as well. He must be about 44 now. Like, he is getting on, and I think they will struggle against a younger and more tenacious team in DR Congo. And yeah, so I see Portugal winning the group, Congo second, and Colombia going through in third place. There's a bloody load of groups. Finally on the final one, which is Group L with England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama in. I think it's going to be a very, very boring tournament as an England fan. I think it's going to be a lot of 1-0s, 2-0s, typical I guess since he's been in charge, typical 2-goal performances. I think we'll grind the 1-0 out against Croatia on our opening fixture. I think we've had that was it the last World Cup or last Euros where we played Croatia very early on. It was a 1-0. I think it'll be no different in this tournament. We've got a very different team than I expected. Obviously no Cole Palmer, with no Harry Maguire, a few big players missing out. But yeah, I think we'll scrape, well, it won't be scraping, but we'll get a 1-0 very boring game, ball fest against Croatia, where both teams are sort of acclimatised into the heat. I think we'll beat Ghana 2-0. I think it will be more open, but it'll be more entertaining because Ghana have obviously a bit more on the break in terms of Semenyo, even like the Ayew brothers. I think they're both there. They got Tariq Lamptey play for them. They've got a few decent players who have a bit about them and they might do something on the counter attack. But in terms of getting a goal, beating England, I don't see it. And I think Panama, well, they're going to be a feisty game. I remember 2018, it was feisty, but again, we turned them over because of quality difference. They got one player who plays in a decent league, which is that centre back. He plays in Norwich, but I think it's centre back or defender. But then yeah, I don't see them doing much. I see them being a bullish team, but getting turned over by each team in the group. England beating them, maybe conceding a goal, but a very, very big win. And then Croatia, Ghana beating Panama, drawing to each other, going through second and third place. Pretty much writes itself. So yeah, so now the round of 32, and it begins with Germany versus Scotland. I don't think this will be in any way similar to how I said they would get a result against Brazil. I think this will be where it ends for Scotland. I think it'll be a domination from Germany. I can see them winning 2-0, obviously not blasting them out of the water, but being a very comfortable win for Germany. Maybe Havertz scoring the goals. Nothing really in attack for Scotland any chance, because I don't see them getting any luck from set pieces or scrappy goals against Germany, who are going to be do very well defensively this tournament. Match 2, France versus USA. I think again, this is where USA go out. I think their home tournament, they're going to get to these knockout stages, but France, I feel they do have a little bit too much. I say a little bit too much, they're going to blow them out of the water, but again, I think a 2-0 win. I think Mbappe and Desiree Doué, I think Doué's going to have a very good tournament. And it'll be too much for USA, who will maybe hold out to a 1-0 first half, 1-0 second half, but I think I can't see them going any further than round of 32. The third match is Mexico versus Canada, so two of the host nations that come up against each other, and I think this will be quite close. Both teams very similar in level. I don't know much about Mexico's coach. I don't know really who he is. I don't know who he is. Jesse Marsh for Canada, they got a few good players. Was it Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies? A couple good players, I don't know anymore. Off the top of my head anyway. But yeah, I think that Mexico will cope better in the heat and get a goal, and that goal will come in the second half some point when the Canada start to tire and start to really feel the heat. Maybe Raul Jimenez from a penalty or a corner, something, a typical Jimenez goal, I think will be the deciding factor, if he's even there. If not, might be a Quinones very tidy finish. But yeah, Mexico going through 1-0 winners is the Netherlands versus Morocco. I think this will be a really close game. I think it'll go to extra time, it'll go the distance. I think the Netherlands may go 1-0 up. I think maybe Cody Gakpo, typical goal where he cuts in his right and finishes it into the far corner. I can see that happening, but Morocco, they are a very, very well-rounded team who I think will beat Netherlands and go through. I can see Brahim Diaz having a tournament of his life, carrying him through. Very good goals. I think he will score. Unless we got a few other decent forwards, decent defenders to help them get through. But yeah, and on to match 5, Congo versus Croatia, and you're going to start thinking I'm secretly Congolese because I think that Congo will go through. I think Croatia will be disappointed. They'll struggle with the hip-hop tournament going through into the knockout stages. I think it'll be no different. I think that Congo will have a bit too much tenacity and a bit too much speed on the break. Obviously, you've got a very aging Croatia squad, a lot of old heads in there. Modric, is Brozovic there? A lot of good players. I think they got that decent forward from Osasuna. I can't remember his name, but I just see them being turned over very quickly. A 1-0 win for Congo, maybe Bakambu scoring. Johan Wissa maybe again is his first goal of the tournament, but I think that Congo will go through. They are my dark horses for the tournament. Sixth match of the round of 32, Spain and Austria. I think this will be an easy win for Spain, but again, it won't be a massive win because Austria are always very difficult. I see Lamine Yamal getting a goal, and maybe a Merritt Laporte if he's there. You know, a typical comprehensive win where you expect Spain to win, they go through. And Paraguay versus Senegal, and before you say, oh, he's going to put Paraguay to win, I have not. I think it's going to be a close game. I think that It'll go the distance fully to penalties. It'll be the first penalty shootout of the round of 32 of the tournament, and I think Senegal will go through penalties. Obviously, they've got Edouard Mendy, who is a fantastic keeper and good at saving penalties. They've also, I think, who's the other keeper? Is again plays in France. I can't remember his name though. I think it's the Metz keeper, but without the keeper, even they've got very good players. They've got Ismaila Sarr, Ndiaye, Sadio Mane, the best player in the world. Decent players, and I think they'll win on penalties 4-3. Paraguay scoring, maybe a save from Edouard Mendy, but a win on penalties for Senegal and into the round of 16. Belgium will beat South Korea again 2-0. Lukaku, both goals. Brazil versus Japan. I think Brazil again. I think Japan, they do well to get through the group stages, but never really progress too far out of that. And I think Brazil, they will, under Ancelotti, they've got a half decent side, good attack, average midfield, good defence. Obviously Alisson, great goalkeeper. I think a 2-0 win. Vinicius Jr. and maybe a Casemiro header. 2-0 win. They go through again. Ivory Coast, Norway. I think this will be a really close game. But I think that Ivory Coast will have it because they are better suited to the environment. I think Haaland may put Norway 1-0 up, but goals from Ahmad will obviously win Ivory Coast the game. Czech versus Ecuador. I think another absolute ball fest, but it goes the distance to penalties, 0-0, and then Ecuador go through on penalties, purely just shithouse. England versus Colombia in around 32. I think we've had it again. I think 2018 when we played Colombia, I think it'd be a close game. Needless to say, I said Colombia will be disappointing, but I think knockout football is different. I think they will be difficult to break down. I think they'll sit behind the ball, and I think England will go out 1-0, well, win 1-0. Not too sure how. I think Harry Kane probably comes alive in the knockout stages and gets the goal to put England through. Now, Argentina, Uruguay, this is where I see an upset happening, because you never see the winners of the World Cup have a great tournament afterwards, really. Maybe France, you could say, but France I think are different. Argentina, they age in Messi. Alvarez is class, Macedonia decent, Dybala, is he there? I don't think Dybala's there, or the pool, I'm not sure. But they got a decent side, Lautaro Martinez, Lisandro Martinez, very decent side, but I think Uruguay, I think on the counter in this heat, Darwin Núñez will finally find his scoring boost and put Uruguay in 1-0, through to the next round. Turkey versus Egypt. I think Turkey will go through Yilmaz and Arda Güler, 2 goals, 1 of each, and Egypt getting 1 through Marmoush or Salah, but too late to really cause anything. Turkey going 2-0 up, Egypt getting 1 back, but not being able to push any further to get anything out of the game. Switzerland versus Algeria. I can again see Switzerland going through a comprehensive 1-0 win, Bril Mbolo, and Algeria not really having any fight really to go into the next round. Round of 16. Now you have big games on this side. Obviously, firstly, it is Germany versus France. I think this is kind of the biggest game of the tournament that you'll have until really the semi-finals. Obviously, when the big boys come against each other, but this is the first one where you can see one of the two really go out. I think it'll be a really, really cagey game where Germany defend for their lives. France are constantly the aggressor, but I see this being the tournament where France go out quite early. I think that Germany will just, again, flukily get their way into the next round. I think they have a decent squad. Jamal Musiala, I think he's going to be good this tournament. I think Kimmich, very good, really good. They got very good players. Jonathan Tah, Neuer playing in his final tournament. I think he's going to make some massive saves and be very key in the build-up. I think that is what Germany will have, and I think they will win 1-0. I think it will be maybe Jonathan Tah from a corner, something you don't really expect, something you don't expect to score. Will just put them over the edge against a very close game, very highly contested game with France. Mexico versus Morocco. I think this is where it ends for all the host nations. I think Mexico go out now, Morocco again too much. I think they will just breeze through 2-0 into the next round. Congo versus Spain. And no, I'm not going to put Congo going through. I think this is where it ends for them as well. I think that Spain just have too much. I think they will just be constantly high pressing. Keeping a game in Congo's half, and there's only so much you can withstand, especially with a team with the quality of Spain and the pedigree of Spain. I think they will get 2 goals first half, the game dies second half, 3-0 win, Spain go through to the quarterfinals. Senegal, Belgium. I think this is where it ends for Belgium. I think they'll do quite well this tournament, but round of 16, I think Senegal will just have the edge, surely down to the heat. I think they will get a goal, and is it Ndiaye? I think he will, on the break, just cut through and get the deciding goal. But obviously it could go either way, very close. Doku, fantastic player. I think it'll be a counter-attack goal that will separate the two sides, and I think it will come, in my opinion, to Senegal. Brazil versus Ivory Coast. I think, again, Brazil will breeze through. I think they'll have too much for Ivory Coast, and it'll be another one of the big boys just getting through just on possession and constant pressure and a comprehensive 2-0 win, where maybe we might see Neymar get his first goal of the tournament, and there you go, Thiago. 2-0 win, Brazil go through to round 16. Ecuador versus England. This, again, Ecuador are going to be a really frustrating team to play against. They will just sit back, and Tuchel is built on 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins. I think it'll be a 1-0 win for England. Another Harry Kane goal, ball in from Declan Rice, Harry Kane header, or like half volley into the back of the net. That'll be what separates, but again, a lot of possession for England. A very boring game, really, for England, where you think, well, they can't get to the final, and you know, you sort of underestimate them because of the performance of the tournament up to this point. But yeah, 1-0 win for England, through to round of 16. Ecuador go home. Uruguay versus Turkey. I think this will be a very close game. Obviously, I had Uruguay beating Argentina, but I don't think they will beat Turkey. I think it'll go to distance 1-0, maybe a Fede Valverde goal for Uruguay, and I think, is it Yilmaz or Under, one of the forwards, will get a very scrapey goal later on in the game, so it takes two extra time, and the game will just be end-to-end high tempo, but lack of quality till the penalties. And I think penalties, you look at Turkey, I think, was it Muslera for Uruguay, Bayındır for Turkey? Bayındır, I don't rate him that highly, but I think he could do alright in penalties, and it could be what cements himself as Turkey #1 and a Turkey legend. I think they will go through on penalties after a penalty save by Bayındır. Portugal versus Switzerland, I think if it was still like prime Jan Sommer, I think it might be closer, but they got Kerbal in goal, great goalkeeper, but Portugal, with the creativity, the chances, I think that they will get a goal in the first half and they'll go in the second half. Balls from Bruno, balls from Bernardo Silva, maybe a finish for Neto, maybe getting his first in the tournament, but yeah, Portugal going through 2-0 winners into the quarterfinals. Now on to the quarterfinals. This is where you see all the European sides face the African and the South American side that are remaining. And first up is Germany versus Morocco. I think this will be a much difficult game for Germany. I think Morocco will push it till the end. I think it'll be 1-1, Kai Havertz and a scrappy goal from Morocco from one of their forwards, taking it to penalties where it will go to distance and Germany will scrape through on penalties. Spain versus Senegal. Again, this is the end for the African sides in the World Cup. I think they've done well to get this far, but come out against Spain, you don't really expect to win. You don't expect it to be an easy game, and I think it won't be that. I think it'll be a tightly contested game, but I think that a Lamine Yamal shot is going to be the difference maker in this. I think he's got so much talent, and he will take Spain through to the semi-finals with a fantastic finish. Brazil versus England now. I think this is going to be a really close game, and I think it will go the distance. I think it'll be another penalty shootout in the World Cup for England. In the quarterfinals, we had it against Colombia years ago. I can't remember we had one in 2022. I don't think we did because he went out to France in the quarters. But yeah, I think it'll go the distance 1-1. I think it'll be a very free-flowing game, very Premier League-esque, with the players who both of them really do play in European leagues, in the Premier League mainly. Obviously the forward line for Brazil is quite Spanish, isn't it? Vinicius, Endrick, Liga Thiago is Premier League, Rafinha, Spanish League. But yeah, I think the difference will be on penalties when Pickford does what he does and just turns up and rescues England. I think the saviour will be Pickford, and a few good saves early on, and England just finish their chances. Pressure, what pressure? I think that'll be another saying after the quarterfinals, and I think we'll go through winning on penalties against Brazil. Portugal versus Turkey. As highly as I think Turkey have done this tournament, I think they will go out to Portugal. I think, again, the creativity from Portugal, the defensive solidarity will be too much for most teams in this tournament. I think they'll go through clean sheet, 2-0. Now on to the business end of the tournament, the semi-finals, and the first one is Spain versus Germany. I think, again, this will be a really close game. This left side of the bracket has been, well, hopefully will be, if I'm correct, really competitive. A lot of big teams going in, going out. I think this will be where it ends for Germany though. Spain being too powerful, too cohesive, too fluid. I think, again, their power going forward. I don't think Nico Williams is in the squad because he's injured, I think. We should check it, but nevertheless, they've got Lamine Yamal, they've got Mikel Oyarzabal, they've got Pedri, they've got Balde at the back, they've got, I think, Laporte, load of good players, Cucurella, good players who I think will be a bit too much for Spain. I think they'll again be formidable at the back, very difficult to break down. I think Germany's only breaks will be through set pieces and sort of like flick-ons from Havertz to Wirtz, maybe balls in from Sané, or I can't see Germany having much luck here. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Spain versus Portugal, and this is probably going to be the most tight contested game of the tournament. I think both teams have quality, both teams are tough to get past at the back, tough to break down, and they've got a good attacking prowess. I think obviously Harry Kane, you look at him, his goals he scored this season, was it like 36 goals this season already? He's been unreal. When he has to service, he is unreal. The only thing is with him, he drops too deep too far, and he might clash with players like Jude Bellingham, he plays. I think he's going to be so close, so hard to call. My heart says England will go through, my head says Portugal may just have a bit too much, and you look at all the factors of being like the last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo, the Diogo Jota from last year, them playing for him with him in his heart. I think the passion, the desire will just be a bit too much, and that will be what gets Portugal over the line. So close, but again, as I said in every single round so far, I think the deciding player in this for Portugal will be Bruno. I think he's going to create so many chances. I think maybe Vitinha might get a screamer. He always has a screamer in his locker. A few this season for PSG over the last few years, a few good goals, especially for Portugal as well. But such a close game, and it could go either way. But I have Portugal going through 1-0 very, very late goal. I think maybe going to extra time and just in the second half, maybe unexpected player like Gonçalo Ramos getting the deciding goal for Portugal. And now for the final, I think this will be a blockbuster World Cup final. I think that Spain, Portugal, obviously neighbours, the noisy neighbours Spain, winning so much in their, well, recent history anyway. You know, first World Cup coming in 2010, getting the Euros 2012. Did he win it 2008 Euros as well? I remember. I think they went Euros, World Cup Euros, then Euros again a couple years ago. Was it last year? No, my memory betrays me. But I think it'll be another very close game, very end-to-end. I think this will be where the defence of both teams really open up because unlike other finals where it's cagey, I think they will have the passion and desire to try and make it a big one. I think Portugal may be a bit tied down with the lack of it from Ronaldo up front. You know, he is now that really that static poacher finisher. But I think it will come in handy with the balls from Bruno, from Bernardo, from Diego with Diego Dalot and João Cancelo. I think it may fit the game plan quite well. Obviously, they'll defend their lives, and I think Spain will take a lead. I think they will potentially go 1-0 up, maybe go 2-1 up. But I think if Portugal keep Ronaldo on the pitch, if he's having a good game, I think he can be dangerous. And I think a deep ball into the box in a moment where Spain aren't concentrating, and you see the talent and the experience of Cristiano Ronaldo to level Portugal, maybe put them ahead. But I think deep crosses will be instrumental for Portugal in this game, and I think it'll be an end-to-end game and a goal fest. And I can see potentially Portugal doing what Argentina done last World Cup and bringing a World Cup home for the GOAT and coming out 3-2 winners in a very, very entertaining World Cup that will be remembered forever and potentially change the GOAT debate, which I wonder what you all think. Leave that in the comments. Lamine Yamal, I'll put down as my favourite for Golden Boot. I think he will get at least 5 or 6 goals and take Spain to that final, that World Cup final, but they will fall at the final hurdle, losing out to Portugal to make that fairy tale come true. Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo taking the World Cup home and writing what would be a great career, an end to a career for a fantastic player in Cristiano Ronaldo. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if this has been a bit of a dull video. I haven't recorded like this in a while, spoke to the camera, so it's a bit strange for me. Obviously, no script either, so I'm just kind of saying it off the top of my head. But thank you ever so much for watching. I'll start uploading a bit more. I'm looking to do obviously some gaming content, some maybe football, and more like talking content a bit like this. Hopefully I can come on my channel a bit more charismatic. And obviously when I go places, I'll record it as I've done those little videos on the channel so far. But yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. We'll see if I am correct in my predictions in like 5 days time it starts. So yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and bye.